It's senior day out in the 806, and Texas Tech looks to send Tahj Brooks as well as 20 other seniors out with the W at the Jones. Standing in their way, the West Virginia Mountaineers. In today's video, I'll preview the matchup, give you the latest injury updates for the Red Raiders, odds, and my prediction. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and it's a preview video. So you know what that means. The first question I'm going to ask you, give me your score prediction for West Virginia at Texas Tech. It'll be an 11 a.m. kickoff. Hopefully a sold-out crowd. Fingers crossed. It's going to be a little interesting with the whole Thanksgiving dynamic. But let me know your score prediction for the Mountaineers set to invade the 806 and face off against your Red Raiders. All right. Some things we need to go over before we officially set the scene in terms of, we kind of already did that. But let's jump into these. Texas Tech is 13-4 since the start of the 2023 season in games Behren Morton has started and finished, which also includes an 8-3 mark at home. That per TexasTech.com. Also per TexasTech.com, Tahj Brooks has registered 18 different 100-yard games over his past 21 outings dating back to the 2023 season. In the 3 games, he has not eclipsed 100 yards during that span. He recorded at least 95 yards in each contest, which is now the longest streak for an FBS player since 1996. And Texas Tech would finish with 8 regular season wins if they were to beat the West Virginia Mountaineers this Saturday for the first time since 2009. Now, Texas Tech and West Virginia will meet for the 14th time Saturday, and 13th as Big 12 conference members in a back-and-forth series that West Virginia has a slight edge in, 7-6 coming into this 14th matchup. This series is tied at 6 since West Virginia has become a Big 12 conference member prior to the 2012 season. All right, I mentioned it. It'll be at the Jones, 11 a.m. kickoff. You can watch this game on FS1. Hopefully you got quite a bit of people there. We'll see what actually happens when it comes to that. But there's a lot on the line for the Red Raiders in terms of continuing to elevate the program and head in the right direction in year 3 of Joey McGuire. Now, before we get into the latest injury report for the Red Raiders, got to tell you about my friends over at Home Field Apparel. This is the perfect place, if you were a Texas Tech fan, to go to get your favorite person that loves Texas Tech, their new favorite vintage Texas Tech apparel, whether it's a hat, whether it's sweatpants. We'll run through these real quick. You can get the bundle right there. You can get the sweatpants, great Texas Tech shirts, the bomber jacket, sold out, but I have been told that it will be back soon. You've also got the 1993 National Championship shirt for the Lady Raiders and much, much more. Again, get your new favorite Texas Tech t-shirt, jacket, hoodie, whatever it is, over at homefieldapparel.com. And the best part about it is when you use the promo code BACK212, you can save 15% off your entire purchase. Again, I'm not saying you got to go and get this nice Texas Tech Platinum box, but that hat, the corduroy hat, it's pretty sick. Kind of want one for Christmas. May need to put that on the Christmas list myself. Hopefully the wife is listening in the other room. But best part about it is if she does get it for me, we save 15% using the promo code BACK212. Be sure to use the promo code BACK212 to get your new favorite Texas Tech vintage t-shirt, hat, and much more over on homefieldapparel.com. All right, let's jump into the latest injury report for Texas Tech heading into West Virginia. Unfortunately, it looks like Bryce Ramirez will be out in this game after having the rod removed from his leg that he had inserted after that scary injury he had a couple years ago at NC State. So unfortunately, he will not be playing in this one, according to the injury report. Now, there are a ton of questionables for Texas Tech against the Mountaineers, so stay with me. We've got Reese Burkhart with an arm injury, the kicker. There you go. You've got DeBraylon Carroll with an ankle injury, the DT. Harvey Dyson III with a lower leg injury, the outside linebacker. 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson has a lower leg injury. Now, Joey McGuire on the Micah Hudson aspect of things did say a couple weeks ago that he hopes to have Micah Hudson back at the latest against West Virginia. So maybe you see him play here. Be a little concerning if he didn't, but we'll have to see what happens there. Then you got Quincy Ledet Jr. with the knee injury, Dre McCray with the wrist, and Javon Wilcox, the TCU transfer, with the knee injury. He has yet to make his Red Raider debut this season. Now, when it comes to the must-watch matchup in this one, I think that there's a lot of ways you can go. Obviously, Garrett Green is a guy you're going to have to know where he's at all times from a Texas Tech defensive perspective, and that's kind of the quarterback that the Red Raiders struggle with, is a guy that is a true dual threat, can beat you with his legs, and has a big arm, and has gotten better from an accuracy standpoint throughout his duration of college, right? But I'm going to actually shift it to the other quarterback in this game and be Behren Morton, who won a ton of awards this last week, had over 400 yards passing against the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 4 TDs. He was sensational up in Stillwater for the Red Raiders. So my must-watch matchup for Texas Tech against West Virginia is the Red Raider passing attack against the West Virginia secondary. The reason being is this: Texas Tech comes into this matchup ranked as the third best passing team in the Big 12, averaging about 295 passing yards per game, just behind TCU and Colorado. Now, the Mountaineers are a stark contrast in terms of worst. They're the third worst passing defense in the Big 12, only behind Oklahoma State and, well, Texas Tech. You've watched the secondary this year. It hasn't been good. Why am I calling it out in terms of the Texas Tech passing attack and not the Texas Tech secondary? The reason being is this: West Virginia is solid against the running game. Okay, they're solid. They're about middle of the pack, little above it, right? We know that Tahj Brooks is going to be heavily involved in this game. But what we have seen this year in the games that Texas Tech thrives offensively is Behren Morton being really good outside of the numbers. That opens things up for Tahj not only to run the football, but for passes across the middle of the field as well. If Behren Morton can capitalize on this weaker West Virginia secondary and really make it to where there's one less guy in the box against Tahj, I think you have that complementary offense that you saw against Oklahoma State. Now, am I expecting Texas Tech to score 56 points? You're going to have to wait and see on the prediction for the score anyway. But I do think that it makes life easier for Behren Morton if he can have one of those early throws like he did against Oklahoma State outside the boundary and outside the numbers to Caleb Douglas, to Josh Kelly, whoever it is on the outside, get that rhythm going early, but it has to be sustained. We can't see Texas Tech disappear for the second quarter, which is basically what they've done all year, right? You can't have that happen against the West Virginia Mountaineers because Garrett Green is going to capitalize on some of these miscues that the Texas Tech defense will inevitably have. It's just going to happen, okay? So you have to be really good if you're Behren Morton in the passing game and making sure that West Virginia secondary is spread out and making it easier for Tahj Brooks to not have to do all of the load in terms of carrying the football and making guys miss, and the offensive line will have an easier time guarding that, well, front seven, I guess, of the West Virginia defense. Now, let's get into the odds for this one. Texas Tech is favored at home by only 3.5. So really, if this was on a neutral field, this would be a pickup, according to Vegas. Now, when you look at the total over-under in this one, it is set at 64.5. I can get behind that logic because I actually have Texas Tech winning this football game by a score of 37-30. I think that they get their 8th win at home on senior night. I'm very interested to see, though, however, you're going to see this game go really one of two ways, and this is what I mean by that. You're going to see the traditional Texas Tech game where they'll go in and they'll have that quick start, one that they're known for, and then they'll disappear in the second half. What I'm kind of worried about, and it seems to happen to some teams, and it's a senior night thing, is there a lull from senior day activities, right? Does Texas Tech come out slow? And if they do, this could be a long day at the Jones for the Red Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tahj Brooks is going to come out and make an impact early on in that first drive with a big run. And I think Behren Morton is going to continue to show that he is QB1 for this team, even though a lot of people, and me included somewhat, but I also understand it from a rationale standpoint, Behren Morton is QB1 and should be next year as well. Again, 13-4 since the start of 2023 in games he started and finished is Behren Morton. If he finishes this game, specifically at home, Texas Tech has a really good chance to win it, as he is 8-3 in games he started and finished at home. I think he makes it 9-3, and the Red Raiders improved to 8-4 this season. All right, One more time before we head out of here, let me know your score prediction for West Virginia at Texas Tech. And I probably should have said this a little bit earlier, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there listening to the video. I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the feast week college basketball. Texas Tech set to play on Friday are the men's team out in the 806 before this matchup for the football team against West Virginia. So should be a lot of fun. Be sure to stay safe. And as always, if you want to stay in the know, 100% free all year long for Texas Tech football and men's basketball, you only got to do 3 things. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.